Hey, I'm Kate, and this is Barbell Therapy, the podcast, where we're giving power to vulnerability. We are going to help you lose weight and reach your goals, but we're going to show you that you're not alone in how you feel while you're doing that. Let's get vulnerable. What is up, Barbell Therapy fans, and welcome back to this week's episode of Barbell Therapy, where we are talking to another Kate, and I'm super excited to have her on because she is a former D3 soccer player and she has so much insight to give us. So let's just get it rolling. So Kate, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Kate. Another Kate. We love it. We're both just Kates. So it's fun to see someone who doesn't have a full Catherine, Caitlin, or anything like that. I appreciate you having me on this podcast.
You're welcome.
Like you said, I'm a former D3 college soccer athlete. I played soccer at a small school in Vermont where I also studied athletic training. And that was my major. And that is what I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life until I actually started doing it, because I just feel like you don't know what life is going to be like or what that job is going to be like until you're actually fully in it. Like being an undergrad and having a preceptor is so different than actually being an athletic trainer and being in that industry. And it's just not something I truly love and something I wasn't passionate about. And you really do have to love it, which, don't get me wrong, it's a great job. And those who do love it and are passionate about it, I preach athletic trainers, amazing. And that has definitely helped me get to where I am today. And why I wanted to be an athletic trainer is because I wanted to stay in the athlete world. But when COVID happened, this was 2 years into my athletic training career, I ended up losing my job, and I decided that it was time to take my fitness and nutrition coaching business full time. But I kind of want to rewind back to that because I didn't just start my fitness and nutrition coaching right after college or during COVID. I actually started alongside of being an athletic trainer because I was on my own journey.
I feel like as two Kates, we also have a lot of parallel lives. Like I'm a strength and conditioning coach for women's soccer, which is funny. And when I had graduated college, went in sales, whatever. But when I quit my job and went back to school, I thought I was going to be an athletic trainer. And then I was like, wait a second, I don't like blood and bones. I failed anatomy too. I was like, this is not going to go well. And during COVID, I was shadowing this guy because I needed shadowing hours to get into athletic training school. And I had already had a bachelor's at this point. So it was this weird transition. It was also the year that they decided to stop athletic trainers as a bachelor's and make it a master's program. So I had to go to the master's program anyway. I was shadowing this guy who was a strength coach, and he very kindly told me I did not have a career in athletic training because I was not nice. Well, not that I was not nice, but I wasn't empathetic enough. So when guys would be lifting in the weight room, they'd be like, oh, my knee hurts. And I'm like, oh, okay. And he was like, yeah, so this isn't going to work for you, which is fine. And so I interned as a strength coach. The rest is history. But I think it's funny that we have that parallel life there.
Yes, no, for sure. And I feel like when you're in the athletic training world, it ties into the strength and conditioning world, and it also can tie into the nutrition world. And that's kind of how I ventured into that world, because I still use the things I've learned from athletic training into what I do now, especially when it comes to helping former athletes with their own strength training plan. And when it comes down to it, the biggest thing for me in life after sports was I didn't know anything when it came to my own journey with fitness and nutrition, especially because I had a coach telling me what to do and a team holding me accountable. And because I didn't know what to do, I realized that there are so many other former athletes out there who get to life after sports and they're just confused in what they should be doing or how to go about staying consistent on their own and being on this journey on their own. When I graduated college, I went on my own journey. I actually started to lose myself a little bit in life after sports, and I was going down a negative path. And I got myself out of that negative path before I got really deep into it, which I'm grateful for. But I started to not feel like myself. I was slowly seeing the scale go up, and it just wasn't making me happy. I wasn't fitting into my college clothes the same way anymore. And I also lived in Florida at the time, which, you're outside in the beach, you're in shorts and tank tops, and I just wasn't feeling confident in myself. And not feeling confident in myself, I was like, okay, something's got to change. And that's where I found an 8-week challenge.
Mm-hmm.
I decided that was my sign. I need to start my journey. And that's how I started getting more into fitness and nutrition. I created my Instagram. People started asking me questions. I truly did not know a lot of the answers, and I hated that because I wanted to be that expert. So I started to learn more, and that's where I got my personal training certification. I ended up getting my nutrition certification, my pre and postnatal certification, and I also have my athletic training degree, which helps a lot as well. When it comes down to life after sports, it's taking time to actually gain the knowledge necessary to be able to eventually do this on your own. And so when I started to gain the knowledge, I felt better about answering questions and helping others. And it wasn't until I helped one of my best friends lose around 85 pounds that I
Wow.
started to help more and more people. And that's how I found my passion.
Yeah, that's amazing. 85 pounds. I mean, it's incredible that you were able to help her do that, but like kudos to her for putting in the work and doing that, because that is, I know that there are so many women that would love to do that and just like don't know how to start. So having that like personal connection with you definitely helps. And one thing that you brought up is like, yes, you have your personal training certification and your nutrition certification and things like that. And I think that the athletic training certification obviously certification, right?
Degree.
License. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, all the things.
All the
Really
things.
differentiates you, right? Because like lots of certifications, there's varying degrees of them in general, but I talked about this on a podcast like one of my very first or second interviews. Like my personal certification, like I don't technically have like a personal training one, but I have a CSCS, which is like your strength training one, which covers personal training. And people don't realize that like to even sit for that exam, you need a bachelor's degree. Like, and it doesn't have to be in exercise science, which is like, I think that they're changing that next year. But like, it was over $600, and I have to do, and so do you, like continuing education every year is required. There's no way to go ifs, ands, or buts around it. Like, and so finding someone who not only has done it like you have, but then also has all of this background is just, it's a diamond in the rough, and it's really incredible.
Well, I appreciate that. And right back at you. I think it's important to keep educating yourself so you can continue to educate your clients and kind of stay within the times, because there's always something new coming out. And what I think is most important to understand and remember for everyone out there is that it's all about the basics.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what comes out, it's just another marketing scheme 99% of the time. And when you can take what we've learned over the years and we just keep talking about the same things over and over again, and like it may feel redundant, but that's because it works. It's not about the next best diet. It's not about, all the high cortisol and high inflammation. It's like sticking to the basics. And when you can do that, you're going to be able to live this healthy lifestyle for the rest of your life and actually sustain the results that you get on your journey.
100%. And that's also like, it's really important to remember that everyone's journey is personal, and what works for you might not work for someone else, which is why, like, even going back to you going through that 8-week challenge, obviously you did what you needed to do to get yourself to a healthier place. But I know that you're not just rinse and repeating what you did and just selling that to your clients, right? You're getting to know them individually and like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, so when I started out my coaching, I didn't start coaching that first 8-week challenge, right? Like I did my own 8-week challenge. And then after that, I was continuing to do these 8-week challenges. So there's 4 a year. And I was promoting the 8-week challenges and like, hey, let's get you results within 8 weeks. And after a couple years of doing that, what I realized was that it's not about getting the best results in 8 weeks. It's about being able to actually sustain those results for a lifetime. Right. And yes, challenges can be great and they can really help motivate you and like give you something to almost like look forward to, but it's really important not to rely on it. And for the most part, I found, and this is probably on me too, that there were a lot of people who did rely on those 8-week challenges, but what happened in between? Just go back to old habits and then just come back and be like, well, there's going to be another 8-week challenge that I can join. But I am all for more of that holistic approach and being able to have a more personalized approach instead of just like okay, come into this challenge and you may not get one-on-one time specifically. It's all going to be in group, which again, nothing wrong with that. But I have found that if my clients want the best results and they really want to do this for life and find a sustainable way to live their life and help their health, they need to understand that it takes time, which is why with my coaching, typically I do a minimum of a 6-month commitment, which is a commitment. Someone looks at that and they're like, that's a long time. Yeah, it is. But guess what? You've had all of these habits for 20, 25, 30, 50 years. You think that you're just going to all of a sudden change those habits in 8 weeks or 3 months or even 6 months? It could happen, maybe, but like you got to take the time and know and understand how to adapt and adjust your journey and your plan to work for you throughout your life. And so when you can take 6 months or even a year, you're going through a lot. You're going through 4 different seasons of life, and you're able to have someone guide you through that and be there for you to help you like get through whatever it is that you're getting through. Because you don't need a coach or someone holding you accountable when things are perfect. You need it. You need that person when things aren't going well.
100%.
And that's something that's really important to understand when it comes to your overall health too.
Yeah. And I feel like, I mean, I've talked about it 1,000 times, but like I am the anti 30-day challenge coach. Like I'm anti extremes, like anti all of it, because I think that there's nothing necessarily wrong with them, right? Like challenges and all these things get people healthy. And just like you, like you're a success story from it, right? Like there are people that it touches, and after 1-2 sessions of these challenges, right, you stick with it for life and you learn what works for you for life. But for the majority of the population who doesn't actually want to learn the foundation behind it, all they're doing is rinse and repeating. That's why you got people on the Weight Watchers and the keto and like going over and over and over and constantly doing it. And I see it on Facebook all the time. You know, people are like, what are the ways that you guys have lost weight? And you have all these women chiming in. The only thing that's worked for me is Weight Watchers. I lost 30 pounds. Like I need to get back on it. If you need to get back on it, then it didn't work for the long haul.
Amen.
Like, and that is like, you know, that is the key thing. And it has nothing to do with the fact that it didn't work, right? Weight Watchers works. These 8-week challenges work. Like these things work. But if you don't understand the foundation of them, you're not going to be successful, right?
Exactly. And it's not that person's fault. And that's what I constantly remind myself, like when someone's commenting like this skinny tea will help you. It's like, it's not their fault. They're just believing in the marketing.
Yeah.
And that's the hard part with the fitness and nutrition industry these days, is because marketing is slimy. It is like, it gets you. It used to get me all the time, until I realized what I really needed was to focus on just the foundations and the basics. And when you can do that over and over and over again, you're going to be okay. And you're going to be able to live that healthy lifestyle. I always tell my clients, it's about doing the same monotonous tasks over and over again. It is boring. It's not really fun most of the time, but it works. That's what it's about.
Absolutely. And it's just like, it's so important to keep having fitness and nutrition professionals like you and me and, you know, so many other people that I know that keep regurgitating the basics and aren't jumping to the extremes, right? Because I was actually talking to my own nutrition coach about this last night, where I sent her this screenshot. This is so funny. I sent her a screenshot of somebody I know. And I was like, comparison is the thief of joy, because I was like so envious of, you know, her physique. And I didn't even notice this. Like I literally didn't notice this. She texted me back. She goes, that disclaimer is wild. I thought she was saying what I said, like that comparison, whatever. In the bottom corner of this screenshot, this girl put a disclaimer that she had belly fat removed. And there's nothing wrong with that. First of all, kudos to her for saying that. But like, that is just, I was so blinded by like the physique and like what I wanted out of that, right? I didn't even see the fine print. And I feel like that is exactly what you're speaking to about marketing, where it's like, we see these big picture things, but we're not looking at all those little details.
No. And seriously though, those little details, it's like, yeah, it's a little fine print. Like that's what gets you. Bringing it back to the basics, I kind of want to go over what I feel are the basics when it comes to your journey. And I would say the basics that I have when it comes to, I guess, like overall, like fat loss in general would be your calories, your protein, water, a positive mindset, and lifting, working out. And when you can stick to those 5 things and stay consistent with it over time, you're going to get the results that you want. But if you keep going back and forth between all these diets, then it's going to be really hard for you to get there in a more efficient way and actually be able to have a healthy mindset alongside of it as well.
And I love that you brought up a little bit more about nutrition, because I want to ask you, you've said that you have a healthy relationship with food. Have you always had a healthy relationship with food? How did you get to this place?
No, I appreciate you asking that. I did not always have a healthy relationship with food. Fun
As
fact.
we all mostly go through. Right.
Yeah. A lot of us, and that's the thing, a lot of us fitness coaches, like, we've been in it. Like, that's why we do what we do, because we have found passion with our own journey, and we want to share what we've learned with others, because we don't want them to be in the same spot that we've been for all the years. So
Right.
I always say I've been on my journey for like my whole life, I guess you could say. But when I graduated soccer, I was probably on my own journey for about a year before I started coaching. And still, when I'm coaching, and to this day, I'm still on my own journey. You know, I'm just in a different phase of my journey than someone else who's just starting out. But my goal is to be able to help former athletes not have as long of that unhealthy part of the journey, so they can actually do it in a healthy way quicker, instead of waiting 5, 10, 15, 20 years to actually learn how to do it like the quote right way. I say, I think there's different ways to do it the right way, but that's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
But when it comes down to my journey, I started off, especially in life after sports, if I didn't burn enough calories on my watch, I would go back for a second workout later on because I just felt guilty. If I didn't run before my workout, I would feel like a piece of poop, because I feel like that is what I had to do in order to get the results I want and like still maintain my like physique in life after sports. I had a hard time with whenever I ate out, like at dinner with other people, I'd have that like, you know, voice in the back of my head where I really want to order a salad, but I'd go to order a salad and then somebody would be like, oh, why are you getting a salad? You're getting a salad. Like, so I'm like, okay, I'll get a burger too. Like, I was very much like a, whatever you get, I'll get, or, you know, I could never make my own choices. And not to say that you have to get a salad every time, but that was my mindset back then, that like, in order to be healthy, I had to eat salad and I couldn't have certain foods, or I deemed foods bad, good or bad. And that mindset really hurt me because I was never like confident in the food that I was putting into my body. I would look at myself after I would eat food thinking I gained like 5 or 10 pounds right after that meal, because I didn't have the baseline knowledge that that's really not what's happening. You don't just gain 5 pounds of fat after a meal or after even a week, or even typically like within a couple weeks. Like, that just doesn't happen that way. And so, yes, I had an unhealthy relationship with food, but how I healed it is by learning more about food and learning about what I put into my body. And I did track my food. And I think tracking food is important for a certain amount of time. Well, for as long as someone needs to feel more confident in food and what they're putting into their body, but also understanding that tracking your food is temporary and it's just a tool. And so I tracked my food for a few years, yes.
Right.
Does it need to be that long? Maybe not. It really depends on the person, but that's what I needed for me. But I also didn't have someone like me coaching me when I needed it. So that's why it took me longer, if that makes sense.
For sure.
But I was able to view food in such a different way because I realized that, you know, I could go eat a burger and fries, and I could have a donut, and I could eat foods that I used to deem bad. I could eat them in moderation and still get to my goals. And that really made my mindset completely switch. And also what made my mindset switch when it came to food is you're not going to be in a deficit forever when you're on your fat loss journey specifically. I think that's something a lot of us forget, or a lot of people on their journey forget, is that when it comes to being in a deficit, you shouldn't be in it for you shouldn't be in it for your whole life, which most of us women are probably in a very low deficit a lot of the time in our life, but you're going to have different phases of your journey. So you're going to be in a deficit, then you need to go up to maintenance, which is like within the 2000s of calories for most women. Yep. They don't realize that they need to eat that much food. So they're constantly eating, like, I would say, like under 1,500 calories, because that's what they think. And that's what I thought. But then I realized that my maintenance, I can actually eat more food and still maintain the results that I had. And once I was able to do that, that also switched my mindset to have a more positive relationship with food, because I didn't feel like I always had to eat less.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that is like a key thing, is that everyone, especially from the media and everything, thinks that like a calorie deficit means I have to eat as little as possible to lose weight. And there's actually a threshold. Like there's a literal threshold of calories that you are, if you're eating below, you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation, especially if you're doing it for the long haul.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree on that front.
I mean, your BMR, your minimum amount of calories that you need to literally survive for women, is anywhere between like 900 to 1,500 calories. So if you're eating 1,200 calories, like for your entire life, your metabolism is going to be a little messed up. And I think what the hard part is for most women is increasing their calories up and getting, like, turning their mindset around to be like, hey, food isn't the enemy. Like food is actually fuel and it's your best friend and you need to eat it. But also understanding that it just takes time to rev that metabolism back up. So it's not that the plan's not working. It's not that you're plateauing. It's that you just need to give it time and you need to give it consistency, which is really hard to do when you're used to doing the fad diets where, you know, you drop your calories and you lose weight quick. But a lot of times it's water weight and you're not sticking to it long enough to actually lose that body fat and actually keep it off.
Right. And then the other like key component too with that is when you try to bring your calories back up, probably do it in like you just like, oh, I go from 1,000 to 2,000, whatever it is. So that obviously is going to give you into a little bit of metabolic distress. But the other thing is, chances are you're not actually eating 1,200 calories a day. Like you go through these cycles of, you know, barely eating, making sure you only have one meal, to then a lot of times on the weekends binging and not noticing how much alcohol calories you're having and things like that. And so then you're just like on this roller coaster with your metabolism and your mindset around food.
Exactly. No, that's a really good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. I mean, because like, again, like, you know, people think, I swear I'm eating healthy. And then you go through the entire week, including Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you're like, okay, you're actually not eating healthy on two different levels, right? You're extreme restriction on the weekdays and then you're extreme binging on the weekends. And at least for me, that's typically what I see. And I'm just like, it's not that you're eating poorly or bad, but these are not the best ways to help you find a healthier balance in your life.
Exactly. And it's not fun. Like, it's not fun to be starving throughout the week and then to then feel like overly full and like to the point of like feeling gross, to where then you feel so guilty and then you either spiral or you just feel like you need to keep starting over. And when you feel like you need to keep starting over, you just get like more annoyed with yourself. And then that cycle just keeps happening.
Yeah. So you had discussed with me this concept of the core four, and that's what you teach for your clients. So I want you to talk a little bit more about that, because I think that's definitely going to be helpful on this specific topic.
Yeah, of course. So the core four, this is how I teach my clients to build a balanced plate. So you have protein, fats, carbs, and color. Color is going to be fruits and veggies. That's going to provide your body with fiber, which is going to help balancing out your blood sugar levels, which is going to help with less energy crashes and actually helping you feel fuller longer. So when you have these core four in most of your meals, like I always say, it's not about being perfect, but it's about being aware and understand, like, okay, well, if I didn't have core four for breakfast and lunch, then I definitely need to make sure that I incorporate it for dinner at least. But when you can start balancing out your meals this way, you start building a more balanced plate, but you have better energy levels throughout the day. You feel fuller longer, and you're more likely to like stick to your plan because you're not feeling low energy or cravings as much. So you're not feeling the need to snack, and you're actually able to like have less brain fog and continue to push yourself in your workouts because you have enough energy. And when you can push yourself in your workouts more, then you're able to get even better results and continue to get stronger and become a healthier version of yourself. So The core four is all in all about building a balanced plate. But even if you do have a snack, like instead of just having like a bag of chips, it's like, okay, maybe you can have the bag of chips, but you also, so you have what you want, but you add what you need. And this is like the second level of the core four. I call it the have what you want, add what you need. So you have a bag of chips, totally fine to have that. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's what can we add to that? So you have a carb and probably a little bit of fats in there. Maybe you add a chomp stick or beef jerky to add some protein, or even a protein shake for quick protein if you need it. Or like maybe you have like a protein bar or something along those lines. Doesn't always have to be like a processed protein, but that's what comes to mind right now. The other thing to think about too is it's not bad to just have a bag of chips either. So I don't want you to think that just because you have a bag of chips or a couple cookies, you have to keep adding something to that. But it's just being mindful of how that makes you feel. So understand that if you do just have like a bag of chips, your energy levels are probably going to deplete pretty quickly. You're probably going to have a little bit more cravings, and just be aware of that and understand that your body doesn't need more chips. It just needs more nutrient dense foods added to it. And then you're going to feel a lot better throughout the day. You're going to have less cravings and less snacking. So
Right.
that's kind of what I mean about a core four.
Yeah. And I think I like love that point that it's like also be aware of how your body is going to feel, right? Because if you have a bag of chips as your snack, your mid-afternoon snack, and then you have to go back to work or go pick up your kids and you have a marathon of, things to do, you're going to start to feel like snackier and crave something. So to your point, it's not necessarily always about adding more, but if you want a bag of chips, have your bag of chips. Just make sure like the rest of your day is like pretty balanced and you're aware that, you don't necessarily need to reach for more snacks. If you are hungry and are feeling something, reach for that protein source, reach for those veggies, not because you need to punish yourself, but because that is what's going to stop you from feeling so snacky.
Exactly. That's like, you just hit the nail on the head right there.
I love that. So you had mentioned something about getting to your strongest self, and you do that obviously through nourishing yourself. How did you get to this point where you no longer wanted to be the smallest version of yourself and you wanted to be the strongest version of yourself?
So with social media, the best part about social media is that you get to kind of curate your algorithm to what you like and what you need. For me, when I first had my social media and my Instagram, I was really following the typical Instagram models. And like, I was like, wow, like that's what I want to look like. And like, that's what I want to be. And how can I get there? And I was like craving that just because I think marketing, or like, as I've thought for my whole life that I just need to be the smallest version of myself. I don't know where that came from, to be honest. But then the reason I want to become the strongest version of myself is because I started to see women online with strong looking physiques, with muscle. And I was like, dang, that's impressive. Like she can do all these pull-ups. And I don't know if you know Claire Thomas, but she's really who got me into loving my strong body and understanding that it's okay to be a woman and to be strong. And that's really like, that's a person I would say that got me into like feeling like I want to become a more stronger version of myself. But at the end of the day, with my mindset and with being an athlete, I didn't have anything pushing me anymore, but I felt like being able to push myself in the gym and to be able to see like, my muscles grow and be able to get my first pull up and now get, 10 pull-ups. I'm able to work towards something in a different way than I was as an athlete. But I just started to fall in love with becoming stronger and gaining that strength. And I feel like because I curated my social media in a way where I followed women who were all about becoming a stronger version of themselves, that really helped change my mindset too.
It's actually funny because here we are with more parallels, right? Claire P. Thomas is also who got me into the same 8-week challenges that you were doing. And it's just so funny. Like you said that, I was like, me too.
Are we twins?
Yeah, we're literally twins. There's also this Instagram KK Fit. It's these two twins from California. I kind of started dabbling there a little bit too. So I like followed Claire. I really liked, you know, that and the first form challenges and things like that. But then KK Fit put out this like bulking guide and I was like, that's what I need. So I was doing that. And like, it's so funny because as someone who literally wanted to put on muscle and understood the science behind it, I still really struggled with eating that many calories. Like I was like, oh my gosh. And there was a time in my life where things were not so great mentally for me that I was like getting some of those calories from the booze. And I was tracking my booze, but you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So again, it's just so funny that like that same parallel once again.
No, I know, seriously. But that's who inspired me to want to inspire those in my circle too. And
Right.
it's a domino effect. And that's one of the best parts about social media. Like, yes, there's negative things about social media, but there's also really great things that can come from it, like education and like figuring out different tools and strategies that could possibly work for you. But you're able to create that for yourself. And when it comes down to it, it isn't just about becoming smaller. It's about becoming stronger and healthier. Whatever that looks like for you. I always say your healthiest version of yourself is whatever you want it to be. And that's the beauty in it.
Yeah, because I was going to say, you know, there is a smaller population of women that are looking to increase their muscle size and have like a muscular physique. So what would you say to someone who is like, oh, but that's not what I want. Like, I don't want that type of physique, if you will. I just want to be healthier. I want to lose weight.
I would say that when it comes to becoming strong, like you said, bulking, like you have to do it on purpose.
Right. Yes. Thank you.
So when you're on this journey and you want to lose weight, I always say, like, what does that look like for you? Like, where do you imagine yourself as your healthiest self? What do you look like? What do you feel like? And just like visualize that. I'm a huge advocate for visualization and like manifestation.
Right.
So what does that look like for you? And so a lot of times they'll say, well, I want to become leaner and I want to become more toned. And so a lot of the time it's just sticking to what I was saying with the basics before, is being in a healthy calorie deficit, making sure that you're focusing on your protein, getting in your movement, having a positive mindset, and being able to drink your water. Like those 5 basics are going to get you to where you want to be. If you want to bulk, you're going to have to eat like a lot of calories, which most women don't do that anyways. So you want to lose weight, you just still stick to the same 5 things. You're not going to get bulky from eating protein. You're not going to get bulky from eating in a healthy calorie deficit. You're not going to get bulky from lifting weights. That's actually how you're going to get lean and toned and become a quote smaller version of yourself, if you want to look at that way, but a healthier version of yourself. Because when you have more lean muscle on you, not only do you have that lean tone look, but you're also able to eat more food. And when you can eat more food, that's also great on your mindset, because you don't feel like you're like restricting yourself or like you can't eat food, which can help you actually stop the binging and restricting, because you're actually fueling yourself the way that your body needs it to.
Yeah. And I mean, I think it's so important to just continue to reiterate, if you want to look bulky, you have to do it on purpose. Because I'm telling you, the conversations that I have with my female soccer players is them telling me that they don't want to lift heavy because they don't want to get bulky, and me being like, I've been trying for 5 years and I'm still not there.
You want to know the funny part is that I'm and I'm not going to speak for you, but I used to think that way.
Yeah.
You know, like I really did. I was like, I don't want to get bulky. And it took a good chunk of time for me to truly understand that that just doesn't happen that way. It's very, very unlikely that you're going to bulk not on purpose. So just understand too, like when it comes down to your journey and lifting weights, I always say that go or working out in general, like work out because you get to for your health, not because you have to for your weight.
Yeah.
And that can also change your mindset around your relationship with the gym and exercise. And when you can have a healthy relationship with exercise, that makes the biggest difference in the world as well.
It really does. And I think that this is a perfect segue into talking about how health and fitness and leads to confidence outside of just physically looking better. I know that's something you spoke to. So tell us a little bit about how like you were able to find that confidence outside of, again, just your physical appearance.
Yeah. Confidence comes from repetition of keeping the promises that you make to yourself. So when you get the actual physical results, you're not confident because of those results. Okay, yes, like maybe a little bit. You're looking at yourself, you're like, yeah, damn, I look good. I'm confident. But the majority of that confidence comes from all the work you did leading up to that. So confidence isn't just going to come from you changing your body composition. Confidence is going to come from you doing the work. And so when you can actually stick to your plan, this is why you need to have the right plan, because when you're constantly going in and out of a plan, you're not building confidence. You're just seeing like, oh, well, I'm sticking to it and then I'm not. And then you're like, oh, I just can't stick with it. I just keep starting over. That's like diminishing your confidence. But when you actually have the right plan for you, you're able to actually increase that confidence over time because you can actually stick to what you're doing over time.
Right.
And that is where the confidence is built.
Yeah. And I feel like that sense of accomplishment, like, you know, a lot of the times we read these books about like being more productive or, you know, just whatever it is. And something that somebody, like a lot of the, I feel like first things is make your bed in the morning. Making your bed in the morning makes you feel more productive, makes you feel like you accomplished something. So like think about, you know, your ability to change your mindset around food, eat more nutritious food, go to the gym, exercise, like move your body, how much accomplishment you're going to get from doing that day in, day out, whatever that looks like. Because obviously you don't need to work out every day, but like being able to push yourself through that and the confidence that you'll be able to get from that, right?
Yeah, and that kind of brings me into the different phases of your life and learning how to adjust your plan to work for you, because I think what the hardest part for us as former athletes is the fact that we were so active, and at times we were doing 2-a-days, especially during preseason. And when you have that mentality as an athlete and you bring that into your fitness journey post athletics, like that is what's going to create an unhealthy relationship with exercise. And that is going to decrease your confidence over time, because then you think that you have to do so much, which causes that decision paralysis in a way. So then you're just not doing anything at all. And then you realize like months have gone by and then you just feel like crap and you're just like super like low confidence wise.
Yep.
But when you actually understand that there may be some weeks where you get in one workout, it's not the end of the world. But as long as you know that you're able to adjust it to work for you that week, and that's what you give, and that's your 100% for the week because that's all you could give, then great. There's nothing wrong with that. But don't let that stop you and just quit altogether. Because guess what? The next week, maybe you can get 2. And the next week after that, build on to 3. And then maybe you just stick to 3 each week. But it's understanding that your journey is your journey and you get to choose how you go about it and the different ways that you can adjust it to work for you. And I always say too, like you have to think about, it's not about doing the most within 10 days. It's thinking about, okay, how can I be able to sustain this over an entire year? So a lot of times when people start their journeys, they're like, I'm all in. I'm 0 to 100. I'm going to work out 7 days a week. I'm going to make sure I cut out bread and pasta and all the desserts, and I'm not going to go out to eat. How long does that last? Maybe 2 weeks. And then you're like, okay, this sucks. And then you start to go backwards. But when you can understand that, it's just about starting small. Like give yourself, like start 10%. Don't just go from 0 to 100%. Go 0 to 10%. What does that look like? And when you can start building your habits and your consistency that way, then over time, your confidence starts to increase because you realize that it's not about just doing it all as quickly as possible. It's about doing small little habits that add up over time.
Absolutely. And it's like so funny that you said it lasts maybe 2 weeks, because there was a point like right before my wedding that I was like, I am going all in on my calorie deficit. And I was like, I'm just going to like push to the middle. And one of those challenges that I had for myself was eating 100% meals cooked by me. The only thing I bought for myself was coffee every so often. And like, that is it. And it was the hardest 4 weeks ever
It
because I
is.
love to eat out. And I was just like having to think of all these different things. And like, I would have soccer games during this time, but we don't have a microwave at the soccer field, but we had like games in the middle of lunch or in the middle of dinner. And like, homegirl gets hangry. So I had to like come up with something to eat.
Yeah. And now you're like in a completely different spot than you were back then, you know?
Yeah. And it's so funny, like just thinking about all the different facets of your life and like what is hard and what is not, because there was a time that cooking at home was not a problem. Like it was easy, like no big deal. And then now I'm like, well, I just don't feel like it. And that's okay because my mindset has changed and it doesn't matter if I eat out. I know that I can just like hop back on track or whatever it is. But just changing those dynamics is hard, but it's possible too. And I think that that's like also something that we need to keep reminding people of. Like, yes, it's hard. And if this was easy, everyone would do it. Like, that is so cheesy, but true. But you can do it. And you will be better for it in the long run.
Yeah, for sure. And something to think about too, because we talked about like comparison a little bit,
Yeah.
like with you sending that message to your nutrition coach that one time. Comparison can be the thief of joy, but it can also really help you.
Yes.
And it can be a good thing. For example, bringing it back to Claire, I was comparing myself in a really positive way because I was like, hey, I want to be like her. But I wasn't doing it in a way like that was diminishing me. I was doing it in a way that was actually helping me become the strongest version of myself because I had that inspiration. So when you can look at it in that way too and understand that there are millions of people who have accomplished their fitness goals, and I would say even have more fitness goals now because there's never like an end goal. I kind of want to get into that too, but you have to understand that when you're comparing yourself in a positive way, you're able to actually understand that if they can do it, so can you.
Absolutely. And like you said, like those people don't have an end, right? Like Claire is incredible and she has the greatest abs in the world and she hasn't stopped. She just keeps doing it, right? Like amazing. And that's, I think where you were going to go with it. The end piece is like the challenges and things like that make you feel like your journey is over.
Yes.
Like, okay, I put all this work in and now I'm done. No, we have to keep going. And so that's why you need to find that sustainable habit, those sustainable habits that you can implement into your lifestyle that will, stay for years to come.
Exactly. Yes. When you look at your journey as having an end, a lot of the times you're going to go back to old habits and we don't want that. We want you to look at, yes, you can have goals and you can achieve your goals, but understand that when you achieve that goal, there's going to be another goal that you're going to want to achieve after that. And that's important and that's okay. And, I even think sometimes like you don't have to have goals, and this might be like a hot topic to say, but like I currently don't have a fitness goal. I'm just like, hey, well, I guess in a way it's just living a healthy lifestyle. Like I don't have like a PR that I'm trying to get or like anything along those lines or like a weight that I'm trying to be. I'm just trying to like live a balanced life like I have been. And that's my goal right now. And that's okay too. But just knowing that if you keep looking at your journey as like, okay, I'm just going to get to this weight and that's it, and I'm going to be great, that's not how it works.
And I think, one thing you had touched on was talking about the different phases of your life and how that has helped you kind of like grow with your journey. But you also talked about how being able to adapt to those different phases has a ripple effect on those around you. Talk to us a little bit more about how like that, how the people around you are affected by that.
Yeah, I would say when I first started my journey, I was able to show up in a way that actually, like I said, I helped one of my best friends like lose weight, and she realized that like fitness was actually a passion of hers too. And so then she was able to start sharing her fitness journey, but then also have an effect on everybody else around her because she started helping other people in her circle. And so just by starting with one person, I was able to not only affect that one person, but all the people around her. And then my family and all the people around me. I always say you're able to attract those, like you attract those, with the aura you put off and like the energy you put off.
Yeah.
And so I knew that like me focusing on myself and my goals and my health, I was going to attract those who also would want to help themselves and their health and their goals. So I love like the domino effect that this journey can have, and like even just having social media can have, because there's like a lot of silent people who I may not realize I'm actually helping them, but I am. And just knowing that what I'm posting in whatever it is that I'm posting is going to help at least one person. And that's what keeps me going. So that's kind of like the ripple effect that I was talking about too.
Yeah. And how do you feel like your friends and family outside of fitness and nutrition were affected by you going through such a positive transformation too?
I think it also helped turn their mindset around and made them realize that it's not about restricting yourself or becoming the smallest version of yourself. And it's not about doing every single thing every single day or trying to put 100% into yourself every single day. It's about finding what's going to work for you and understanding that everything is okay in moderation. If you aren't feeling your best, great. Don't go work out. Just go for a walk or do some stretches. Listen to your body. Be mindful. Focus on these small little habits that help you over time. And so when I started this journey and like transition to a healthier mindset, I noticed that like even like my mom is now just like going on walks more and focusing on her getting in more protein. And this isn't like a knock on my mom, but she didn't know that just having cottage cheese and a protein bar wasn't enough protein. She's like, oh, I need to eat this much protein? And I'm like, yes, mother, you do. And that helped her because now she has the knowledge necessary to know that she does need to eat more protein.
Right.
She thought she was eating too much. And I was like, oh, not enough. Not enough.
Not
Please eat more.
Yeah.
It is cool to see how family members also just kind of like watch from the outside looking in and make changes too.
And it's also so special. I had that with my mom too. And she went through an amazing transformation, both physically and mentally. And then I just feel like there's also this psychological side of when you improve your confidence and have more energy and don't hate the body that you're in, I feel like the people around you are happier because you're happier. And you build a better connection and relationship with them too. Is that something that you were able to experience?
Yes, 100%. And it's like, it's one of those things where you don't realize the impact that you have until like you see how the other people are changing with their mannerisms and their mindset and like the way that they talk to you about themselves. Mm-hmm. So it's really cool to see that come to fruition.
Yeah, for sure.
I would just say, understand that this journey is exactly that. It's a journey. And when you're on it, you're going to go through ups and downs. But what's most important is that you don't give up on yourself. You don't fail. You're not failing. You have a little setback. You grow from it, grow through what you go through, and keep moving forward. You're going to eventually get to where you want to be.
I love that. Okay, so I'm curious, what is your biggest hot take on the fitness and nutrition industry right now?
Ooh, my biggest hot take would probably be around this time. It's the skinny teas and the detoxes that really, really piss me off. There's a few others that are very hot, but I don't want to get into that. But I would say the skinny teas and the detoxes. A skinny tea is what? It's literally tea, just with skinny in front of it. You lose weight for being in a calorie deficit. Okay, you don't lose it just from drinking a skinny tea. And detoxes, man. If you have a kidney and a liver, your body's doing its own detoxing. So if it's not detoxing, you should probably go to a doctor and not take a detox supplement. So
yeah. And like, again, the scientific foundation behind what detoxing is. Yes, obviously we have our kidney and liver. And if you feel like because of, the bad food that you've been putting in your body, like you need to, if you're someone that has been living off of McDonald's, like, okay, maybe you probably like need some sort of a detox, but it does not need to be some fancy supplement. It just needs to be eating your core four.
Yes.
A balanced plate. Eat some veggies and some protein, and I promise you'll be okay.
Yep. You're going to feel a lot less bloated and you're going to feel a lot more energetic. So your detox is going to be your core four. Okay.
Right. Literally. And that is like, it's so wild to me because I'm just like, why do you want to just drink tea or like this nasty whatever for however many days?
Or like have a juice cleanse or something.
And like, this is from someone who did it. I did it. I was literally had whatever. I did a juice cleanse once. I was a nasty person. And like that's the other thing. Like when you don't eat, you don't become fun to be around. So like you're not having fun in your own body, and nobody else wants to be around you either.
No, exactly. But hey, guess what? You grew through what you went through.
That's true.
You know? And that's important. It takes time. And, you know, like there could be someone listening to this that's been doing that stuff or has been in and out of diets. But ask yourself, before you start anything, ask yourself, can I sustain this long term? Can I sustain this for minimum life? I'm going to say minimum a year. And I'm like, no, that's not even sustaining it. Like, you need to sustain it like for life, right?
Yeah,
so
for
like
life.
If you can't do what you're doing for life, don't do it.
Yeah. And that's not to say that okay, first of all, you shouldn't do skinny teas, detoxes your whole life. Like that is literally unsafe and unhealthy. But like someone who's doing keto or Weight Watchers or something along those lines, like if you can sustain that your whole life and that is something that is fine with you and makes you happy, great. Like then yes, then that is something that works for you. But for majority of people, they find themselves on this roller coaster and that's when it's not sustainable, right?
Yes, exactly.
Last question is a fun question.
Yeah, I love fun questions.
So I am, or I have been in my life, a competitive power lifter. So squat, bench, deadlift, you know, the whole nine. So would you fuck, marry, or kill squat, bench, deadlift?
Fuck, marry, kill, squat, bench, deadlift. I would probably kill deadlift. I would marry bench, and I would fuck squats.
Yeah, see, killing deadlift, this is where we're no longer.
I literally hate deadlifts.
Really?
Yeah.
All variations of deadlifts.
I like Romanian. I like RDLs.
Okay.
But when I think deadlift, I think of like, you know, like literal powerlifting deadlift. Yeah. I don't like that.
Okay. I love it. I'm really good at it. Really bad at squatting. Terrible squatter. But I do love bench. I agree with you there.
I do.
And there is just something so amazing about being powerful in your upper body as a woman. It's like so cool.
It's so I have always had like a more, I would say more toned upper body than I have. Like it's very hard for me to grow my legs. But to be honest, I haven't really intentionally tried to necessarily, because like it can happen. You can do it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I can't do it. I just haven't put in the effort to do so. I'm just really happy with where I'm at. But it's really, really hard for me to squat like heavier than I am already. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm good here. I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
It's the pain.
It's so strange, but I think it's like honestly my mindset that blocks me from being able to squat more because I'm like, no, let's do it.
I'm done. It's probably one of the easiest ones to just like bail and just be done with, like because bench press you're going to drop it on your chest, so nobody wants that. And then deadlift, like you know. It's really not like once you get like off the ground, you're almost all the way there. So just finish it out. But like with your squat, you're like, oh my God, I have to go all the way down and then all the way back.
It's more like I swear to God, squat is more than just legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's full body.
Things. Yeah, 100% every time. So as a health and fitness coach, you are currently working with clients. Tell us a little bit about who you work with and how you work with them.
Yeah, so my niche is mainly former female athletes, and I have my one-on-one Embrace the Climb Fat Loss and Mindset program where I take more personalized and holistic approach to their fitness journey. So that way they're able to gain the knowledge necessary to be able to eventually do this on their own. I say fly out of the nest and like be on your own, but also understand the right strategies and tools that are going to work for them throughout the different phases of their life. So that is how I work with my clients, and I do most of my business through social media, through Instagram, and my Instagram handle is Kate, Kate _ Beaulieu, LIEU_.
And I will link that in the show notes.
Cool. I'm like, I should really choose a different username.
No. It's great because it's you. So love that. Okay. So I'll go ahead and link your Instagram in the show notes for anyone who wants to follow you, reach out to you, and all the things. But really appreciate you being on the podcast today. I think so many women are going to get so much out of this. And I'm really happy I found my twin. So
thank you. I appreciate you having me here. It was honestly an awesome conversation. But again, I appreciate you and I love what you do too. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you so much for tuning in and being vulnerable with me today. I'd love to hear from you. So make sure you come hang out with me on Instagram at KateAnnFit. Let me know what you thought of this episode or leave a review here. And don't forget, I want to cover topics that you want to hear about. Let me know what topics you want me to cover either in the comments or shoot me a message on Instagram, and I'll talk to you soon.